After years of marriage, my husband came home and announced with a smile that he had found the love of his life. Take it easy, by the way. I was standing in the kitchen, stirring in the sauce for the beef suads that I had been cooking for him for 3 decades, while he sat down at the table and told how special she was. He said, "She's not like me. She is modest, simple, and unlike me. Material things are supposedly completely unimportant to her." I just looked at him, then slowly put the wooden spoon on the stove and smiled just as slowly. I turned to my secretary, who was sitting in the living room sorting documents. Yes, I have a secretary. A fact that my dear husband had apparently very comfortably suppressed, and in a very calm voice, so calm that I surprised myself, I said, "Sabine, block all joint accounts, cancel the private supplementary insurance for his mother, and change all passwords." I will never forget the look on Robert's face at that moment. It was the face of an absolutely confused man who was sure that he could just exchange me, like a pair of old shoes. But that was just the warm-up. Neither my husband nor his mother understood at that time who I really was and what I am capable of, if I am seriously underestimated. Listen to my story to the end. I would really be interested to know where you are from. But first, let's really get acquainted. My name is Marianne von Darnberg Hoff. I am 68 years old, and for the last 35 years, I have been the perfect wife, the obedient daughter-in-law, a woman who has sacrificed literally everything for a family that, as it turned out, was absolutely not worth it. I met Robert when I was only 33. I worked as a CFO in a large company in Hamburg. I had my own 3-room apartment in Eppendorf, my own car, my own life. I was the first woman in our family to take over the family business, and my father, God bless him, was moved to tears with pride. Robert seemed charming at the time. He worked in sales, was always well-groomed, dressed, with that smile that makes you feel like you are the only woman in the world. He wooed me for half a year before I agreed to marry him. My mother had warned me. She said that he was too handsome, too rash. Such men only broke trouble. But I was in love, or at least I believed that. We celebrated a beautiful wedding. First the registry office, then the church wedding in Hamburg, Michel. I still remember that day today with a strange mixture of warm nostalgia and bitter regret. I was wearing my grandmother's wedding dress with lace, which she had once brought from Brussels. Robert cried, as I strode to the altar. He vowed to love and honor me until the end of his days. In the first few years, things really didn't go bad for us. I don't want to lie. We both worked, built a life together, bought our first home, a not too big, but very cozy apartment in an old building near the Alsen-Ulster. But then my mother-in-law, Elfriede Robert's mother, moved in with us. A woman who made me understand from the first day that I would never be good enough for her son-husband. Robert was her only child, a late-born and much-longed-for dream child, a spoiled boy who, in her opinion, never did anything wrong. Of course, when his father died, leaving her with practically no significant pension and savings, it was natural that we had to take care of her. More precisely, Robert continued to work, traveled all over Germany on business trips, and I gradually turned into a nurse, cook, and housekeeper for his mother in one person. I quit my official job. Robert said this was only temporary. Mom needs special attention. She coped with the death of her husband so hard. This temporarily dragged on for over 30 years. For years I nursed a woman who did not have a single serious diagnosis, but was a master of manipulation. She virtuously pressed on the lacrimal gland, feigned weakness, moaned, sighed, and suddenly got hypertension and fever as soon as Robert stepped on the threshold of the door. For 300 years I listened to myself that my roulades didn't taste like theirs, that I was cleaning wrongly, dressing wrongly, not housewife enough, not feminine enough, and that I had not given poor Robert any children. Yes, we had no children. After many years of trials and painful treatments, it turned out that I could not get pregnant. Elfriede did everything so that I never forgot that. She considered it her duty to remind me regularly that I had failed in the most important female task. And Robert, my dear Robert, has not defended me once in all these years, not once. But I remained the perfect wife. I ran the household, nursed his mother, made sure that the apartment was sparkling clean when he came back from his next business trip. Over time, these trips became longer and more frequent. 1 week in Munich, 2 weeks in Stuttgart, 1 month somewhere in Berlin. I stayed alone with his mother, listened to her endless complaints, and felt how my youth evaporated in her whims and demands. Robert came back tired and irritable, and I always made sure that absolute comfort was waiting for him at home. His favorite food, his shirts ironed the way he likes, rest in the apartment so that he could recover. I never complained, never made scenes because of the lonely nights, because of the birthdays he spent in another city, because of the anniversaries he forgot. I was Mary Ann, the understanding wife who realizes that he is toiling for the family. The years passed, and I literally disappeared. At the age of 45, I once looked at myself in the mirror and did not recognize the woman I once was. My hair began to turn gray. My body bore the marks of fatigue and constant tension. I stopped dressing up, applying makeup, taking care of myself. For what to? Robert was almost never at home, and when he was there, he hardly looked at me. Of course, Elfriede did not leave any opportunity to notice how much I let myself go, and that her son deserves a woman who takes care of herself. It was me who continued to control everything. All the bills, all the household expenses, the medical expenses for the mother-in-law, which, despite her actually robust health, were not small. All our facilities, I took care of all this. Robert never had a head for numbers. He was always a charismatic salesman, but an absolutely inept financial person. So the responsibility was on me like everything else. About 5 years ago, Elfriede actually started mining. After all, 87 years of accumulated malice and discontent took their toll. She needed more care, more attention. I hired nurses, but she scared everyone away. She said, "No one cares for her as well as I do." Robert insisted that only I could make Mom really happy. And I, stupid hole, continued to put everything on my shoulders. I got my own health problems. Hypertension, insomnia, constant back pain from lifting and rearranging the mother-in-law. But my wee Wetchen did not interest anyone. I was the strong one. I already endured this. And against this background, strange trifles began to appear. Robert, who used to take care of his appearance rather carelessly, suddenly began to pay a lot of attention to himself. He bought new clothes without even asking me for advice, which he had never done before. He enrolled in the gym, began to use a different perfume. When I asked what I changed, he said, "It's all because of work." He would have to look good in front of the customers. I wanted to believe him. And then the news started. His mobile phone, which used to be lying around on the bedside table, sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes in the jacket pocket in the hallway, suddenly became a part of his body. He even took it with him to the toilet. He smiled while staring at the screen, quickly typed something, and immediately put the phone away as soon as I got closer. And then, for the first time, this disturbing feeling really stirred in me that one can no longer shake off. I pretended for a long time that I did not notice anything, but one night, the feeling just became unbearable. Robert, as always, fell asleep immediately, without even asking how my day was. And I was lying next to it, staring at the ceiling, and I knew that if I didn't find out anything now, I would go crazy from all the guesses. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I don't intend to be particularly ashamed of it either. I took his phone. It was lying on the bedside table, as if begging to be taken in hand. My hands were shaking so much that I almost dropped the device. I knew the code, of course. Not knowing the husband's code after so many years of marriage, you would have to make an effort. And there were all hundreds of messages from a certain Jessica. My angel? My light? I can wait to hug you. Hearts, kisses, emojis, photo. Both of them in restaurants, in hotel rooms, in some beautiful places that I myself only knew from television. She was young, maybe at first, no more. A very normal, pretty woman,